Good morning, everyone. Well, who's anxious? That would be me. My name is Alanna and I'm a Canadian, but I have been living here in the UK for the last 8 years. Specifically, I am down here in Kent. When people hear that, and I also say I'm an anxious traveler, you're an expat in a foreign country and you get anxious when you travel, doesn't really seem to make sense. And yet here we are. Recently, I decided this is something that I want to get better at. I want to be able to travel, however big or small. I want to be able to do stuff on my own without freaking out or being anxious or feeling embarrassed or cringe, if you will. So I decided to turn it into a YouTube series. And today we are doing our next installment. So this morning, it is freezing, by the way, separate story. We are going to the Victoria and Albert Museum. Now, I have only ever been once, and it was actually before I lived in the UK. I went to London on a little holiday when I was 19, and I remember going to the Victoria and Albert Museum. I don't actually remember what it was or what was in it because I was 19. And that was 12 years ago. Let that sink in. Anyway, I don't have any plans. This is us just out here trying something new. I hope you will join me. I am anxious and I slept bad last night, I think, because I'm anxious about today, which is so annoying. Anyway, it is technically still summer. It's freezing. I got a jumper and I think I'm gonna wear a coat. So I'm gonna finish packing my bag and we are going to catch the train into London to go to the museum for a solo museum date. Anywho, I really hope you'll join me. So without further ado, let's go. Like I mentioned, I am an anxious traveler, and maybe you are the same. The whole purpose of this solo museum trip thing is to get better at traveling alone without totally freaking out. One step at a time. Saying that though, I have learned a new travel hack that I never travel without now. My phone is my lifeline when I'm traveling, and I am always paranoid of getting hit with roaming charges whenever I'm abroad. But I learned a secret that takes a huge weight off, and that is getting an eSIM with Airalo, the sponsor of today's video. Basically, Airalo connects you with eSIMs available for over 200 countries and regions. So there's no more stressing out about roaming charges or queuing up at the airport for a local SIM card or desperately searching for Wi-Fi when you're on holiday. You simply select an eSIM you need with Airalo, download it before your trip, and then activate it once you land. That's it. If you want to stay connected anywhere you travel, make sure to install the Airalo app today and use my code NAPS3 to get $3 off your data plan. I recently went to Portugal, which was great by the way, but I thought I had roaming as part of my mobile plan. Surprise! I didn't. So I spent the entire trip trying to connect to dodgy Wi-Fi, which was an absolute pain, and obviously it was super inconsistent. I'll be using Airalo next time to avoid all the unnecessary dramas. For the simplest way to stay connected wherever you travel, check out Airalo and use my code NAPS3 to get $3 off your first eSIM. And with that, we have arrived in London. So we hopped on the tube. A little bit busy for a random Thursday afternoon, but hey ho. And honestly, thinking about taking the tube feels so ordinary now, which as a Canadian, it doesn't make sense. If I told myself, little baby Alanna, 10, 15 years ago, oh yeah, I just take the tube and I go to the museum and it's just a regular day, that is absolutely wild. And I am so grateful to be able to have these experiences, to still be in the UK after so long. It has not been easy. But the fact that I'm still here, I'm so grateful and happy. Anywho, little rant over. Look at a dog. Look at a tube dog. I love it. I'm so desperate for a dog, you guys. You don't even understand. Anyway, we are finally making our way to the Victoria and Albert Museum. Now, the tube station that I went to was the one that's nearly under the museum. So I popped out one of the exits or one of the entrances, however you want to say that, because I wanted to get external footage to start off. And then I had to look at the directory. This place is big. There's a lot of stuff here. Now, I didn't really have a plan of action. This is sort of the main entrance hallway, ground floor sort of area. Loads of really interesting statues, lots of pieces of art. To be honest, by this point, I was already hungry. It had taken so long to get in. I was already hungry and I needed to pee. So I was like, all right, well, we're going to just slowly walk this way. Look at all the pretty statues on the way to the toilets and the cafe. Because I was going to be hangry in like T-minus 10 minutes. So it was kind of urgent. Okay, this next bit might be gross. I'm about to show you a toilet. If that grosses you out, don't look. Okay, so I had to pee so bad. So we go in. They've got these little stalls. Great. You got a sink. Wonderful. Immediately just totally splashed my cheek. Just like, I literally just turned the tap on. You love to see it. Anyway, I was absolutely starving. The food here, compared to the Imperial War Museum, which was my last museum visit, the food here was very posh, and it had a really pretty cafe, kind of like eating area, which was very cool. I got this quiche Lorraine with 2 sides. Have a think. How much do you think that was? It was 14 pounds. Now, some people might be screaming at fair, but it was so good, and it's kind of hard to see. That pie was massive, and it tasted like someone actually cooked it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was really good food. And compared to my really depressing sandwich that I got at the Imperial War Museum, this was like such a fancy treat. One of the things that kind of makes me anxious about doing these sorts of things on my own, yes, the food was very good, is like, I don't know how to describe it. It feels embarrassing. It feels embarrassing to eat on your own. It feels embarrassing to do activities on your own, and it shouldn't. But that's like my default feeling. So while I was sat there and I was starting to feel a little bit like, oh my God, I'm like sat here all by myself. Like, this is so embarrassing and cringe and like whatever. I was not the only one. There, in this small little section of the dining room, there's 5 other people who are on their own of varying ages and genders, and we were all just having a nice time. So if that is something that makes you uncomfortable, you're not alone, and you're never going to be the only person by themselves. I hope that helps, because it helped me. Anyway, while I was eating, I was having a look at the map. So you have the ground floor, like the base of the building, and then all of the subsequent floors kind of go around the outside. So they're kind of like hallways kind of looking down onto the ground floor. And while I was looking at this and on our walk in, I kind of started to remember my initial trip like 12 years ago. I have a feeling that I only did the ground floor, and then I was so overwhelmed and like overstimulated that I didn't do anything above it. So what I decided to do is, after I finished eating, I walked through, I think this was like the Asia section. Just very briefly, I walked through to get to the stairs, and my game plan for today was I was going to bypass the ground floor entirely, because I did kind of remember seeing this stuff, but I've never done the upper floors. So we had a walk through. I mean, it was hard to just walk through because there's so much here, like paintings, tapestries, clothing, artwork, sculptures, trinkets, like just literally so much. But I do kind of remember not even getting up the upper floors. Do you know what I mean? So I walked through South Asia. Very cool. Sorry to just be passing through, but I was determined on this trip to do the upper floors. Oh, and they also had some fashion right by the stairs. So I just popped in just real quick, just have a look. All of the different clothing and the outfits from various time periods. Very cool. Not something that you normally see in like history type museums. So that's always fun to see stuff that's a little bit different. So I had a very quick wander. I couldn't help it. It was just wonderful. And also so not busy. I always try not to film people as much as I can, because like I wouldn't want to be filmed for a YouTube video that I didn't know about. Do you know what I mean? And so I usually try to cut people out, but I didn't have to do much on this trip because there's hardly anybody here. It was fabulous. So as we go up the stairs to the, what would you say, first floor? Ground floor, first floor, or first floor, second floor? It doesn't matter. This section was, as you can see, ironworks, which I thought was so cool because, again, not really something that you see in a classic history type museum, but this whole hallway was just full of really interesting ironwork like this. How fun! This one in particular is from the 1600s England. These weren't all English pieces, but this one in particular was. I thought was pretty cool. Hey, how's it going? Casually trying to film myself, but making it look like I don't know that I'm filming myself. How do people do it? I just don't know. Anyway, this was really cool, and I was really glad with my museum game plan because I absolutely do not remember coming up here. I only remember that ground floor, and I obviously... Oh yeah, have a look at this. Cool! It's just here, and it's massive. Anyway, I forget what I was talking about, but I was having a great time. And as you can see, there's like so few people up here. So this was like what, mid-September, like a Thursday afternoon. I didn't come particularly early or late in the day. It was really dead set in the middle of the day. And there's hardly anybody, which was so fun. Oh, these locks I thought were so cool. So these top two, again, 1600s England. Locks, door locks. Down below, there were some German models. You can see how the ironwork has like a different style to it. Can you imagine having one of these like on your door or something? And then I also saw this balcony, which caught my eye, and maybe you can guess why. It's from France. It's got dogs on it, doesn't it? I love it. Where can I get one? But on this floor, loads of trinkets, boxes and locks and really intricate inlay metal work, all very cool. But what I really liked as well is you could have a look down on the ground floor. So that big thing in the middle I remember seeing last time, and it's a giant carpet, which is kind of hard to imagine how big it is. But it was really neat being able to look down on the exhibits. Obviously you don't know what you're looking at, so fair, but being able to sort of look down sort of in that aerial view. Anyway, these were cool. We had like toys and all sorts of stuff. Okay, I think we need to hurry it up because this video is going to be a million years long and we are literally still in the first hallway. Next up, I came across this, which I believe is called the Hereford screen. Go ahead and rip apart the pronunciation in the comments. I couldn't even get how big it was, like in the frame. I was stood back as far as I possibly could go. Absolutely massive. And it's just like in this hallway, overlooking one of the entrances. I don't know if this is like the main entrance where I came up from the metro or the underground. I didn't really come up through this way, but look at the architecture of just the building itself. Absolutely gorgeous. Moving right along, we go to the sculpture area. So on either side of this hallway are the cast courts, which at first I didn't realize that they were replicas, but then I saw David standing there and I said, hey, I saw you in Florence. What are you doing here? So apparently these are replicas. They're casts used for like educational purposes. Oh yeah, I thought I was taking photos. Just ignore that. And these towers, like really, really interesting pieces and very cool that you can see them if you can't see the original. It doesn't really excite me as much because, again, it's not the original. It's a cast of the original. Do you know what I mean? Maybe you feel differently about it. They're still very cool. Loads of stuff in these sort of two side hallways from all over the world. And it was a really cool perspective, again, being sort of up looking down. Very cool. Now, jewelry. I totally missed this the first time, of course, because I did not go upstairs, but this whole section was jewelry, watches, like cigarette cases, necklaces, earrings, like all sorts of stuff. Absolutely gorgeous. I'm not like necessarily a jewelry girly, but the history here was wild. But what's also interesting is they had modern day stuff as well. So it's laid out by time period. Here is the 1500 BC. That's weird to say. And I wasn't really sure how well this stuff would turn up because the room was very dark and there was a lot of like reflections and glass. I wasn't sure if we'd be able to see all the details. But yeah, we start at 1500 BC and go all the way around to modern era. So many interesting like brooches, and we had a couple of tiaras and all sorts of cool stuff. So even if you're not like a jewelry girly, like, look at the detail on some of this. I'm actually kind of impressed that the camera picked it up at all. This I thought was crazy. It's kind of hard to see how small it is and yet how detailed it is at such a small size. I think the plaque said that this one was 1450 BC. So again, like the earlier era of all of these jewelry pieces, but a very cool spot. They had these stairs. So as I was walking up, I was getting dizzy because you can like see through the stairs, and I was looking at the camera, and then this woman was trying to come down as well. And I was like, oh my God, what if I just fell down these stairs? Anyway, up here was also very cool. Again, wasn't sure if you could see what everything was because of the reflections, but hardly anybody here. It was such a perfect time to come. And these were like makeup cases / cigarette cases. I loved how different they were. I kind of want one just to like literally carry around. You know what I mean? How cool. And then on this side, they had like boxes and watches. So while the modern stuff was cool, I am very much more interested in like the older the better. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's get some real old stuff up in here. So I spent most of my time with the oldest. Look at that. Again, pretty impressed with this camera for focusing on something that intricate and tiny in a really dark room with like spotlights. Anyway, I thought these were gorgeous. They just don't make them like this anymore, do they? And of course, we had to have a little bit of royalty. We got some sapphires and diamonds. Anyone? Beautiful, eh? This was for Queen Victoria. Gorgeous. Tried to focus. It was in a weird, like, curved glass case. You know what I mean? Anyway, I was having a great time. Again, practicing the, like, filming yourself, but pretending that you're not filming yourself. You know, you want to make it look organic and not forced, because, you know, I'm a professional vlogger. Look at me go, just hanging out by myself. Oh, swords, I love it. I want a giant gold watch, and I want my own personal sword. Is that too much to ask? Probably. And this crown. I'd like a crown, a gold watch, my own personal sword. Throw in a sapphire or two. Is that too much to ask? This said it was an inkstand, which I did not. Is that true? I couldn't believe it. It's from, I think, 1817. Absolutely gorgeous. And finally, we have to leave with the circular wall of rings. Look at the colors on those, eh? Gorgeous. I don't even wear rings, and I was absolutely enthralled. Anyway, this was literally one small hallway. We have to move on. Here we got some of the stained glass, which love it. Who doesn't love stained glass? And the way that it was organized is so nice because they're all purposely backlit so you can really get the most. You know, it's stained glass. It needs to be lit up properly. I don't know what this is. I'm so sorry. I forgot to take a picture. But it was very cool, and I was trying to avoid a guy on his cell phone. We also have lots of like religious crosses and altars and all sorts of fun stuff in here. Look at the gold. Again, just wild. Eventually I made my way over to like all of the silver. Also, just look at the architecture of this room. Gorgeous. So it's like silver and like crystal and all of that kind of stuff. I was starting to get a little bit overwhelmed, not gonna lie. It doesn't seem like I've seen a lot, but where a lot of the pieces are quite small, you're reading so many plaques and you're like trying to take in all of this information. And then I come down this hallway and it's just like a million pieces. It's like, oh my God, it literally does not end. There's so much here. And if you're not overwhelmed or overstimulated with all of the crystal, they of course had paintings and drawings and tapestries as well on this floor. Just gorgeous. And again, it was so nice that it was next to empty. Like there's hardly anybody here, so you can really take your time and enjoy everything without like bumping into people. This like tapestry area was super cool. It was so dark. It doesn't really seem that dark on the camera, but I could hardly get like the full size of some of these tapestries in one shot, even with me like backing up. They're huge. Just gorgeous. A lot of these pieces seem to be from sort of like the 1450s, 1460s sort of era. The fact that they are so well preserved is wild to me. The color and the detail, just beautiful. Very, very cool. And eventually I made my way back down, walking among some of the sculptures. I was like, damn, I didn't take a thumbnail photo yet. So I started to think about that, and really at this point, I was ready to head home. I was a bit tuckered out, a bit overstimulated, but I had such a great time. And there's so much more to see here that I felt like I was really just scratching the surface, but I didn't want to overdo it. Do you know what I mean? But the fact that this museum is free, absolutely incredible. Please take advantage of it. An incredible collection of items, but I am going to stop talking and I'm going to pass you off to Alanna, who just exited the museum.
Hey guys, well, we are just outside. I think I'm done. I think I've had enough, which is actually good timing because this camera is going to die literally any minute. But I hope Alanna, doing the voiceover for this video, can try and put it into words how incredible this place is. I have really only scratched the surface. I mean, I didn't even do the main floor, like hardly at all, and there is still so much to see. So if you happen to be in the area, if you're looking for something to do, whether on your own or not, I really recommend it. The stuff here is just wild. And it's a beautiful day, so I'm gonna make the long journey home. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope this was fun to watch. If you have a suggestion of a activity or a place or a thing that I can do on my own for my next solo trip video, leave a comment down below. Anyway, you know what? I think I'm gonna get a drink. I can use a drink and then make my way home. But thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, bye.